Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy Monday. I think it was supposed to be Black Monday or something, according to Jim Cramer. We were all going to die because of President Trump's tariffs. Now, we've seen the global shakeup in all of that. And, I will just say, remember, he said Happy Liberation Day last week when he announced all of these reciprocal tariffs on all of these other countries, which I just would like to remind you guys as we go through the current situation here. These are all countries that had already placed tariffs on us. So all we were doing, people say the United States, President Trump is starting a trade war. No. The trade war was started a long time ago, decades ago. We just refused to actually suit up and play in the game. We just allowed them to score touchdown after touchdown after touchdown while not fighting back. All right. So let's get that straight. So Liberation Day, in that sense, it was not some sort of a gimmick where President Trump came out and called, oh, it's Liberation Day. Oh, that sounds cute. We'll just see if it sticks. No, actually, it was the moment that I would say maybe globalization got hit by a Mack truck. And when you look at the legacy media, you see, you just have to pay attention to who all of this is pissing off, who is outraged by all of this. And that's how you know you might be over the target, because the legacy media wants everyone to think that the sky is falling. They say, oh my gosh, the New York Times, globalization is collapsing. Brace yourselves. Let's not forget who these people are. They are America last. They have proven that for decades. They are open borders. They are, of course, a globalist paradise. And the world's supposed elites were no cheerier. You had UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who wrote in The Telegraph, first it was defense and national security. Now it is the global economy and trade. Old assumptions can no longer be taken for granted. The world as we knew it has gone. We must rise to meet the moment. And you had also Canada's interim Prime Minister, Mark Carney. He himself, a central banker, he was, I would say, just as grim. Watch.
The global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States that Canada has relied on since the end of the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for our country for decades, is over. Our old relationship of steadily deepening integration with the United States is over. The 80-year period when the United States embraced the mantle of global economic leadership, when it forged alliances rooted in trust and mutual respect, and championed the free and open exchange of goods and services, is over. Well, this is a tragedy. It is also the new reality.
Oh, poor us. The United States finally decided that they were not going to tolerate getting the bad end of the deal anymore. Oh, poor us. We thought that they were global leaders, but it turns out they're not. No, I mean, we're just embracing that again. Now, it gets worse, or I don't know, maybe better, depending on your perspective. You guys are I hope you're sitting for this. China, I wish Matt Marsden was here to give me a China. China is now calling President Trump a bully for imposing reciprocal tariffs. Again, reciprocal is the key word here. He is a bully for doing to them what they are doing to us. And you really, when you hear this stuff, you just you couldn't even make it up. Watch.
The
U.S. approach is a typical act of unilateralism, protectionism, and economic bullying, which causes harm to others while backfiring on itself.
Threats and pressure are not the right way to deal with China, a Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson said on Monday after describing U.S. President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs as bullying.
Oh, it's bullying now. It's bullying now. But was China a bully for imposing the tariffs in the first place, or that's just President Trump? That President Trump gets that moniker, not anybody else. And you have to ask yourself, why are all of Trump's opponents in America acting like our nation's adversaries didn't impose them first? Why would they be acting as if this was the first strike in a long-term trade war? Because they are just intellectually dishonest. That is why. That is the only conclusion that you can come to on this. And if they have to undermine the stock market to get Trump, to prove that they were right about President Trump, to prove that President Trump was all the bad things that they said that he was, then that is what they plan to do. They want to feed the hysteria to prove their point. Now, some people probably plan on capitalizing off of the panic selling because they're taking a longer view on the goal to revitalize American manufacturing. And I want to, we did a show late last week, where we did a little then and now with all of these Democrats who are now acting like, again, the globe is on fire because President Trump decided that he was going to take the lead in all of these trade imbalances. But you had Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who has really, I would say, changed his tune dramatically, because I want to play for you. This is Chuck Schumer in 2005 advocating for a 27.5% tariff on China. Watch.
And worst of all, the Chinese, despite the fact that they have tremendous advantages by the rules of free trade, pile on and add unfair rules that violate free trade. And at the top of that list is the fact that the Chinese peg their currency abnormally low so that their exports get a 27% advantage here in the United States. Our imports get a 27% disadvantage when sold in China. Every tenet of free trade, if you believe in it, says they should not peg their currency.
Isn't that so interesting how now Orange Man bad and all of the things that they were saying were absolutely true are now not absolutely true anymore? So President Trump, not playing around, obviously, he fired off a salvo to China that he will double down if he has to. Over on Truth Social, he posted yesterday, China issued retaliatory tariffs of 34% on top of their already record-setting tariffs, non-monetary tariffs, illegal subsidization of companies, and massive long-term currency manipulation. Despite my warning that any country that retaliates against the U.S. by issuing additional tariffs above and beyond their already existing long-term tariff abuse of our nation will be immediately met with new and substantially higher tariffs over and above those initially set. Therefore, if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above their already long-term trading abuses by tomorrow, April 8th, the United States will impose additional tariffs on China of 50% effective April 9th. Additionally, all talks with China concerning their requested meetings with us will be terminated. Negotiations with other countries which have also requested meetings will begin taking place immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, as you can see from all of this, now I know that there was some fake news that was generated over the weekend that was like, there's going to be a 90-day pause on tariffs already. No, this is all part of the plan. President Trump and the administration have all been very clear that this is a perhaps a short-term pain for a much longer-term balancing of trade, which will pay off tremendously in the long run. And President Trump, I know, in his another True Social post, he suggested that people maybe have some perspective on this. Okay, oil prices are down, interest rates are down. The slow-moving Fed should cut the rates. Let's see. He has food prices are down. There is no inflation. And the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose markets are crashing, just raised its tariffs by 34% on top of its long-term ridiculously high tariff. Not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries to not retaliate. They've made enough for decades, taking advantage of the good old USA. Our past leaders are to blame for allowing this and so much else to happen to our country. Make America great again. Again, it's just like, if you are, I don't know, let's say that you are an elitist, All right. You make millions of dollars in the stock market. You really care about this, right? Let's also say that you are perhaps a day trader on Wall Street and you're like, oh my gosh, everything's down. The world is doomed. Global trading is down. Look at the stock market. Look at the crashes. But we're not all elitists and we're not all Wall Street traders. And to your average American on Main Street, this is a much needed course correction. And I want to play Treasury Secretary Howard Lutnick explaining all of this rather well, I would say. Watch.
You've got to realize this is a national security issue. I mean, we don't make medicine in this country anymore. We don't make ships. We don't have enough steel and aluminum to fight a battle. Right? All our semiconductors are made overseas, so every button we press when we try to start our car or even use our microwave, these are all semiconductors. They're all made elsewhere. We've got to start to protect ourselves, and we've got to stop having all the countries of the world ripping us off. We have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, and the rest of the world has a surplus with us. They're earning our money. They're taking our money.
Right.
And Donald Trump has seen this, and he's going to stop it. So it is going to be a big change. Of course it's going to be a big change, but the rest of the world has been ripping us off for all these many years. Donald Trump has seen it. He's spoken about it.
I understand
and he's just
that.
not going to take it anymore, and that's his model.
And that is the point. The rest of the world has been ripping us off for far too long, and we've just been perfectly happy taking it up the tailpipe, not President Trump. So I understand all of these commentators on mainstream media, legacy media. I understand all of these leftist lawmakers who were just waiting for President Trump to make some sort of a screw up or like, oh my God, recession. Well, no, actually, there's a reason why the administration is smiling, I would say. Over 50 countries have already reached out to negotiate. Over 50 countries have already said, all right, I give, let's talk. Which again was part of the plan. You have Vietnam, who offered zero tariffs. You have Thailand, who was asking for bilateral talks. You have the EU, who is offering 0 for 0 tariffs on all industrial goods. Watch.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal, so we keep it on the table. But we are also prepared to respond through countermeasures and defend our interests.
Now, I realize that the EU can't make up their mind. They keep trying to figure out which game they're going to play. They're like, well, let's do 0 for 0. And then they're like, well, maybe we might increase tariffs. Look, this is a game of chicken, okay? President Trump has proven to have the fortitude to get a better deal for the American people. In fact, he wrote a book about it. It's called The Art of the Deal. This is something that he's been talking about for decades. And I'm just asking, like, when you look at the prior presidents and you look at the prior leadership and you think about the decisions that they've made only being in public service, not ever having created something all on their own, not having built businesses and having had to, balance books. Okay. I realize former President Barack Obama wants to say that you didn't actually build that, government did, okay? But the fact of the matter is, President Trump is the only one who has a proven track record of success when it comes to actually being in the driver's seat with actual real-life negotiations. These guys have all played paper money. These guys have all played with our money like it's monopoly money in prior administrations. President Trump is the one who has the experience to say, I am going to get a better deal for the American people. Here is the way. I've been looking into this for decades. We're going to pull the trigger. It's going to be rough, but this is the only way that we can correct the ship. Now, you also have the Japanese who are also ready to come to the negotiation table. So you're looking at all of these countries. This was just late last week. This was late last week. And they want to tell you this is Chicken Little. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Actually, it's really not yet. I am willing to, I love President Trump. Obviously, you know that. I am willing to say if he sees this to its end result, and the end result is not what he's intended, I will be the first to come to the table and say it didn't work. But what we're doing right now isn't working either. So why not try something new with a proven track record businessman? Because his strategy is very simple. There's no more one-sided trade. For decades, foreign nations have taxed American goods to death while flooding our markets with cheap, subsidized junk. We're ending that. If you want access to the American consumer, it's going to cost you or you come to the table. This is the power of Trump's trade doctrine. All right? You start with the tariffs, you force a reset, you make them come to you, and guess what? They are. Now, obviously, this needs to be coupled with deregulation, but that is also happening. You have the EPA, who has already unveiled just record amount of deregulation in their department. You have the president, who has already opened up deregulation.gov, seeking comments from the American consumer. They are ready. They are ready. Okay, so Liberation Day was not an overreach. It was not a gimmick. It was just the beginning of the course correcting of the new rules. And the world is already learning to play by them. All right. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. Even if you think that you're already subscribed, go check, because YouTube does a lot of funny business with my subscribers. So they tell me. All right. I just hear from you guys. They're like, I wasn't getting notifications anymore. Oh, it turns out I wasn't subscribed anymore. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to gently tap that like button, because we all appreciate a gentle tapping from time to time. And comment. It'll help us in the algorithm, which is stacked against us. We know that because we have been demonetized for 2 years now on YouTube. We are making $0 from this program on YouTube. All we're asking you to do is something you can do for free. All right, we've got to take a quick break. We'll be back with the panel. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor's 3-week quick start. It's $19.95. And so when you calculate it out, you would be paying less than $1 a day to get rid of your pain. Now, those of you who live in pain, it's knee pain, neck pain, back pain, whatever the pain is in your body, all right, it's the inflammation that is likely causing your pain. And if you can get rid of the inflammation, you are going to get rid of your pain. You're going to eliminate it from the root cause, rather than, people do like the icy hot or whatever, and they're like, ooh, it's cool, and then it's hot, and then you're in pain again in 10 minutes. Don't do that. Go get Relief Factor. They've got that 3-week quick start for $19.95, and they've got a guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose except your pain. You can get it at relieffactor.com. That is relieffactor.com. Well, now that I'm done blabbing, welcome to the show. We have Logan Hall, Blaze Media's digital strategist, along with Dave Landau, of course, Blaze Media's very own from Normal World.
That's correct.
And also new author.
That's correct.
That's
I'm
cool.
Just gonna answer it like that, like I'm on trial.
Everything you're just going to say that's correct.
That's correct.
Your Honor. I request to be called Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Yeah, tell us about the book.
The new book is out. It's called Party of One, a Fuzzy Memoir. It's stories from my teen years and leading up into where I got sober.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a lot of arrests. And it's
fun stuff in there.
Yes.
But you remember that stuff, so that's good.
I remember enough from interviewing people to piece it all together.
Okay. So these are actually accounts of his friends?
That's why I said some of it has been pieced together at the beginning, because, I don't remember it through a blackout.
Where can people get it?
They can get it at Amazon.com. It's #1 in comedy and self-help right now.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I never thought I'd publish a book.
That's pretty rare for comedians. I know Norm Macdonald did a book, but
he did towards the end. It's the best one too. Yeah.
But you're #1 now, so you've.
It looks just on Amazon, but I'll take it.
Wow.
I never thought I'd have a #1 book anywhere.
Right.
I can barely read. So it's good that people, it's
but people are reading your book.
It's written for a good 8th grade level.
That's good.
That's when I stopped learning.
Well, then the 8th graders can read it and learn from your mistakes and not go through what you went through.
That's exactly what you want to do. There's no instruction in there about how to cook it's not important.
So make sure that you go check out Dave's new book. Congrats on being #1, friend.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So over the weekend, the left did what they do best, which is whine and cry about whatever thing, whenever things don't go their way. They were in over 1,200 cities. They had the signs, they had the chants, they had the costumes. And by the way, none of it was original because it never is. The hey, hey, ho, ho, is usually seen. And so you had this whole big production, and you probably were wondering, what was the message? The message was hands off. Now, off of what exactly, I don't really know. But hands off, apparently. And I think we have some aerial view of this protest here from one of these. Yeah, there is.
Oh, my.
Yes, that's Boston. So hands off, I don't know. Nobody really knows how to finish that phrase.
Probably our USAID money.
Yeah, hands off.
Yeah.
Taxpayer money funding corruption. Hands
Funding
off
these protests.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So
who's paying for that? Did they all check out at 5 like they do at the Tesla factory?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I also saw I graduated from Texas State, and they had these Texas State buses that were driving a bunch of protesters to these protests in Austin. And they were forced to come out and make a statement that they contract the buses. And how dumb is this? This is a university who has a business school. And they said, we signed a contract with this bus company that our name is on the buses, but they can use the buses for whatever they want on our off hours. And we don't have to agree to whatever the buses are being used for that have our freaking name on them. I was like, this is embarrassing.
That makes no sense.
None whatsoever. So you had all of these protests coming up, and these people are just so embarrassing
being
and lame.
responsible for the sorry, Oklahoma City bombing. Go on. I didn't mean it. I'm just saying, you don't blame the trucking company.
I know.
It's just stupid. I'm sorry.
So you had this anti-Trump hands-off rally in Washington. So let's just kind of take a survey of what these were like across the country. You had Grisa Martinez Rosas. I don't understand why we have to have it. There's a lot of names sometimes in Hispanic culture. They'll have 5 names. And I'm like, why do you have so many names? I don't know.
How many do you have?
Well, I mean, I have a first, a middle, and a last, but I don't have 2 last.
Well, there you go.
So I don't know. But she is head of the... I think she's head of the group United We Dream. And she stood on a stage in front of cameras, and she was like, I'm here illegally. Yeah. This is not going to work out well for you, I don't think. Here's that. Watch.
My name is Grisa Martinez Rosas. I am an immigrant. I am
Why
undocumented, unafraid, queer, and unashamed.
Why did she add in the queer?
It'd be funny if that's why they made her leave. Yeah. We're deporting you. It's just all gays now.
I mean, I understand saying a bunch of times, finding words that are undocumented, unafraid, unashamed. And then she's like, also queer. We don't need to know that.
Yeah. Just adding as many things as possible for why she should be protected. No, I mean, it is funny, but this stuff is also very, very blatant and brazen. These people have to go back. Can you imagine going into China and saying, I broke in here illegally.
Right.
You all owe me. You have to take care of me. Yep. You have to pay for me with your taxes.
Yep.
By the way, I'm just as Chinese as you. Actually, I'm a better Chinese person than you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm a dreamer. And all my dreams are the only things that matter, not any of the Chinese citizens or the people that are here. Can you imagine what China would do to me or to a person who did that? It would be immediate, quick, black bag. I'm not saying we have to do that here, but something similar. These people are way, way, way too comfortable. And you have to recognize mass deportations are the nice thing to do. Yeah. That is the moderate. That's even the liberal position. When someone comes to your country and does this and brags about how they are legally there are much harsher ways that you probably could and probably should deal with that person. And deportation is the nicest one of them.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that stands out to me, Dave, is these people are living real comfortably here in America. She is eating well. She is eating well here in America.
Yes, she's a bit large. I noticed that as well. She was unhungry.
Yeah, true.
So that's going well. I also do call myself a better Chinaman than anyone.
Yeah.
But that's.
But you
how
could
I
probably
am.
do a pretty good impression.
It's pretty solid. It's in no way offensive. They can't pick me out of a crowd. But I love that China's calling us a bully today.
Yeah.
Where I found out the tariff they have on us, like the amount of money they make off of, children's hands that make shoes. Like they really have no position to come at anybody. It's like, you're the worst country. Like you
Emissions, the child slave labor, the camps, but Trump's the bully.
Public, yeah, and all of a sudden, yes, Trump's a bully, and people get behind it because I don't even believe that half these people believe anything.
Oh no,
I think they're just there, or they went with a friend. At least I hope that's the case.
So I'm glad
they're paid.
Can you imagine?
Both.
Can you imagine using your weekends to go do this?
I'd never.
No. Now I sometimes use my weekends to go make fun of them.
Oh, I know,
but not.
You're doing something that's actually useful.
Right. Right. Yeah, they're not. Yeah. And to your point, Dave, I want to play some of these protesters who they're at this rally and they seem totally clueless. Like they cannot explain exactly what it is that they're mad about that brings them to these protests other than like Orange Man bad or something. Watch.
So what makes Trump a fascist? What makes Trump a fascist?
He does things without
You gotta talk loud. I don't have my mic on.
I'm not really good into interviews.
Sorry?
He just does everything he wants and not following laws or he was a convicted felon, that's all I know.
Oh my gosh.
Your sign says he's a fascist, and I'm just curious what makes him a fascist.
This guy's smiling because he realizes.
The media, right?
Say that again?
He's trying to control the narrative.
How is he trying to control the media? Doesn't every president try to control the narrative?
They try to control their own narrative, but one of the things that Trump's has done, for example, is the renaming the Gulf of Mexico, and then not allowing the Associated Press to come into the White House.
Oh my!
Is that what he said? There's a line to get into the White House.
Not allowing the Associated Press to come into the White House, which, by the way, isn't true.
Right.
The goal. So there are a lot of things that can make you a fascist. At the top of the list is renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, and that, my friends, takes the cake.
Indicators right there.
Yeah, it's a thing that shouldn't have been really done anyway, if you want my honest opinion. It just kind of makes America look like a giant TGI Fridays when we do stuff like that. But it's like, it doesn't mean anything. You're just picking something to complain about. You're not going to a protest because of Gulf of America. The only time I ever went to a protest was for legal weed, and it's because I got out of school and I was smoking weed, and I could tell you why I was there. It was for the weed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you look at this and you're like, maybe, to Logan's point, maybe these people are just getting paid because this is a DNC, organized, NGO funded, just like all the BLM crap. This is just George Soros pulling some strings.
Yeah, there was a somebody scrolled through their website over the weekend and it showed you all the different organizations that were funding this. They have no actual grassroots support or enthusiasm. It's all AstroTurf. That's all that these people are. Now, if we want to get into the fascism thing, I think libs deep down in their heart of hearts, at least some of the more honest ones, I think they do actually want Trump to be a dictator so that they can say, hey, we were right about this guy. He was always going to do this. And I think they crave authority in that way. I mean, if you look at what happened during the COVID stuff, that was in most recent memory, that was probably one of the most tyrannical periods of American history.
Yes.
We rebelled against Britain for far less of what, is a tiny portion of what actually happened under the COVID regimes. The libs loved it. I think they would want to do it again and again. I saw Fauci say, he said he was predicting like how our next pandemic was going to come about or something. It's like these people, they want it. They're desperate for, they like to say, Trump is sucking up to these dictators and he's going to turn us into China and he loves Xi Jinping. They want what China has. That is their type of...
As long as they're in charge.
That is their, yes, as long as they are in charge, that is what they want to turn America into. So I think they kind of crave that little bit of fascism, but yeah, they don't know what they're really talking about. They wouldn't be able to recognize the only thing that they're able to say when they get at these protests is like just some NPC regurgitated talking points. That's what he said. They don't have, it's a lot more than half of them that don't believe anything. They're mostly just like the media tells them what to say, or they're whoever they're getting paid from tells them what to say, and then they just repeat it.
The guy had a very clear like sign that had a slogan, and then it even had a website link. And like he could have at least gone to study up on what the website said.
I feel like everybody's looking at their phones and they don't even go over it on the bus ride in. They should at least tell you the definition of fascism.
The fascist Trump regime.
Like, you should be able to explain it to a degree.
Right.
That's I don't understand how anybody can just stand there and go, well, it's like, okay, well, I can tell you why Trump is almost a comedic view of capitalism. Like, it's so extreme in the other way. Right. How could you really say fascism?
Right.
I just want to hear the explanation that makes any sense.
Well, they can't.
He hosted
isn't
The
one.
Apprentice.
Yeah, there isn't
fired
one.
people.
It's a great show, by the way.
Yeah.
Is the answer there? So let's go to your point, Logan, about these. It's just like NPC, like slogan, insert slogan here, and we're gonna chant it, and that's gonna make us powerful. There were more "No Fascist USA" chants over in Washington D.C. Let's take a look in on that. Watch.
So we are very big on the chanting, and you'll have all the energy today. So, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
Oh, wow. Look at that energy.
I'll be happy to know that KKK is pretty quiet.
It's like, what are you talking about, the KKK?
Are you talking about Kanye specifically, or the other members that aren't around?
Yeah.
It's just like, what world are you guys living in?
There's a really, really famous tweet, sort of like in right-wing Twitter sphere, but it's very accurate. And it says, liberals don't know things. The few data points they have seen, they don't remember. Their entire worldview is driven by consumption of mass media and fiction, and that's all this is. They essentially see history and the world, all they can think of is the Avengers, right? So they think of like Thanos as like the Nazis, and like they're on the good side of like, oh, we've always been just this anti-fascist country. It's like, you guys, the people, the men who signed up for World War II would have hated you. They were not fans. They would never be fans of you guys. Like they just, you have to recognize they just do not know anything. And that's who we're dealing with. It's essentially a bunch of robots.
And Thanos was right. We could lose. We could lose 50% of the country. I'm fine. I mean, of the world, it's fine. I might disappear in it because it's random, but whatever.
Right. You take one for the team.
It's good for the goose, is good for the gander. The man had a point. The whole movie, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
So
he started disappearing at the end. I'm like, I hope there's not a sequel, because this adds up.
So you have I don't disagree with you, Logan, that they're all just retarded.
Yes.
But
that's the nice.
You have is that the nice way to put it? You're just retarded. You're welcome. I could have gone harder and I chose not to. But you also have the young ones who are like that, and you're like, oh, well, you're a byproduct of our public education system. And then you have the oldies who our friend Savannah Hernandez was out in Austin, and she was like, these protesters are so old, they're holding their signs up with walkers. Let's watch some of that.
Oh, I saw that.
Look at, they're all so old. Oh no, she really got him with that sign that said F Trump. Look at him.
It's quite a necklace. Here's what I don't understand about
Look at him with the wheelchair.
But like, hands off.
What?
And the three women at the podium, it just looked like, hey, ho, this penis party's got to go from PCU.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? It looks like it's a Me Too thing.
This is the vanguard of the revolution.
Yes, Yeah.
This is the youthful spirit and energy that's going.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yes, the people that were not even old enough for Woodstock, but now they're very, very old.
So this is the energy at these. I mean, that is so embarrassing. So we keep asking the question, hands off of what? I think it's clear. They want Trump to keep his hands off of corruption, off of handouts, off of money laundering. They want to protect this system that they used to control with their fascistic ways. To Logan's point, they were used to being the fascists. They're very mad that President Trump is changing that. I would ask that they just cope and seethe harder.
I don't think they want.
One last thing too.
Yeah.
There was the transgender congressman from Delaware was saying hands off women's rights. So that kind of sums up the essence of this. It's a guy.
So
it's a guy in a dress that pretends he's a woman saying Trump needs to keep his hands off women's rights.
Threatening my spaces where I'm vulnerable and he wants to speak for me. Got it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do want to grab at him when you see him. Just, try it out once. You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
Yeah, you do.
I don't. But this seems like a really good time to tell you guys about King of Kings, the new movie from Angel Studios, who is honestly cranking out these movies. They're all great. And so this one is, of course, the greatest story ever told, and you guys know what that is. So the idea behind this movie, it's a father tells his son the greatest story ever told, and his son starts imagining what it would be like to walk alongside Jesus, to witness his miracles, face his trials, and of course understand his ultimate sacrifice. So it's just in time for Easter. It has a very high-profile cast of voices. It's got amazing, amazing animation. I would encourage you guys to go check out showtimes over at angel.com/Sarah. It is The King of Kings. It's in theaters Friday, April 11th. That is this Friday. It is angel.com/Sarah. That is angel.com/Sarah. Can't wait to get your thoughts on this, gentlemen. In Idaho, the state house has just passed a bill allowing the death penalty for adults who sexually abuse children 12 and under. And the vote was actually, seems to be that we can always be bipartisan every once in a while. It was unanimous, 63-0. No lawmakers spoke out against it. And the bill creates a new charge within Idaho, aggravated lewd conduct with a child 12 or younger. So if a case includes at least 3 aggravating factors, such as repeated abuse, use of weapons, or being in a positions of trust, the death penalty could apply. Now, they would become the second state, Idaho, after Florida, to challenge the U.S. Supreme Court's 2008 ruling in Kennedy versus Louisiana, which banned capital punishment for child rape. And they believe, as I, that the ruling was wrongly decided and that today's court would see it differently. What say you guys on this? I'm like, let's go.
Oh, I've been saying we should pedos for years, especially, I mean, it's weird.
He means in a video game, YouTube.
A video game, YouTube. I mean, whatever word we want to use.
The death penalty.
The death penalty. Is that what we use?
After
that.
After a fair trial.
Sure, in the kitchen. With your gun. Do you have to beep all that then? I think it's a great idea. I think it's fun. It's good that nobody went against it. It'd be funny if it was one guy who's like, come on.
And everyone's like, we should definitely check that guy's hard drive.
Come on, come on. How about under 5?
Yeah.
So I'm saying 13's cool? Right, sorry. Go ahead.
Dave.
I think we need to make firing squads great again. All forms of capital punishment. We've kind of lost our way with the cushiness and the coziness of modern society, where we think, oh, we've become like so enlightened. The people, our ancestors in the past, they just didn't know, they didn't have the right reasoned arguments as to why the death penalty shouldn't exist or all this nonsense. No, there are certain crimes that you commit that are so heinous and so ridiculous. Rape, murder, of course, pedophilia, certain other things, but there are certain offenses against society and civilization that you just say, nope, we're not going to tolerate it.
Yep.
And societies deserve what they tolerate, and we've been way too tolerant for the past 100 years or so. I think we need to Trump's a big supporter of this too, making the death penalty great again. You can end, if people know that they are going to be punished swiftly and justly, you will have such a decrease in crime. You won't even have any idea. You'll be like, where did all the crime go? Oh, we started enacting the death penalty all across the board. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that for petty theft or something.
Sure.
But there is an argument for, in the Middle East, in some certain countries, if you get caught stealing, they chop off your hand.
Yeah,
okay?
but that's also called Sharia law. So
Fine.
be careful.
Fine, but
But they don't steal there.
they don't have a lot of theft there. And we have apparently in California, we have like, you're just allowed to loot up to like $1,000, or you used to be able to. I don't know.
Nuts.
But you can just go into a CVS, and now they have everything blocked off in the CVS. All I'm saying is we don't have to live in a world where everything at the CVS, where toothpaste at a Walgreens is blocked off behind a little glass cage.
That's a little aquarium to look at your toothpaste.
Yeah.
But CVS is kind of pricey. That's $1,000 is like 3 items.
So where do you shop
Said
instead?
it. Take that, CVS.
This program is not sponsored by CVS.
No, I'll go
or
there.
CVS.
It's usually less crowded because it's so very expensive.
I was buying, what was it? It was like some cosmetic that I was buying. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, why
Plan
is
B.
it was no, Dave, it was not Plan B, nor is that a cosmetic, for the record.
Well, I'm just guessing.
It was like, I forget what it was. It was like nail polish or something. And I was like, can I get assistance to open the nail? I just need
we
nail
don't have
polish.
to
You know, like, I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
why,
you have to
why do I
ring
have
a bell, and then a guy comes over who's like armed. It's like, all right, I'll get it for you.
like, I just wanted some blush. I'm sorry.
I was living in New York when that happened. Everybody's just raiding everywhere because we let people get away with it, and I see that there's such an extreme to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's an extreme in any way to putting to death a pedo. I think
the problem also is we do, in some cases we do these death penalties, but then it gets caught up in the court system for like 20 or 30 years. No, it needs to be, if you want justice, actual real justice, the punishment needs to be, after you're found guilty in a court of law, it needs to be quick.
Yep.
That's how people know, like, we've had this crumbling in the belief in the idea of the rule of law for this exact reason. It's justice delayed is justice denied. And you could this one's pretty easy. Like, who is going to really go against like the death penalty for pedophiles? But I guarantee you that there would be probably at least 2 or 3 people on our United States Supreme Court that would say, no, we can't put
1,000%.
can't put pedophiles to death.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, I'm sure, would be one of them, based off of her history with going easy on people who have been convicted of child porn, having child porn on their computers.
Yeah, no. And if Hunter Biden's there, he's going to be telling everybody, like, hey, come on.
That's true.
We should have a little bit on our laptops.
I just am going to say,
Research.
I do not advocate for violence. However, I will point out that dead pedophiles do not reoffend.
That's very true.
I'm just going to leave that there. You can't dispute it. It's true. It's objectively true.
The rapists and murderers don't want them. You put them into Gen Pop, they're getting shanked.
Yeah, and that problem just takes care of itself real quick.
Yeah.
If you're too bad for rapists and murderers,
Yep. You're the worst of the worst.
Believe this guy is gross.
All right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be right back. You know, I often like to say the left talked about patriarchy before we actually had a patriarchy. Now we do, and it's actually biological men taking over every single women's space imaginable.
We're back.
Guys are like, cool. You guys are never going to win another championship again.
White men have had it hard for too long.
At the Women's Pro Pool Series Championship this weekend, both finalists were biological men identifying as women. So those the 2 male players, first and second place in what was supposed to be a women's competition, and the pair have won roughly 75% of their matches.
Owned.
Yes, exactly. Fast Edna over on our side.
I can't.
I used to play a lot of pool, and when I was drinking, obviously, and it's such a feminist sport. It's so female, and it's just something that you always see women doing.
Well, here's to your point.
Last year, I was removed from the
so it's Minnesota Fats in a wig.
Female category. They removed trans women from competing against biological women.
Why would that
I
be?
received a phone call from 2 of the organisations stating that they were placing the ban on trans women competing. The third organisation, who happened to be the English Blackpool Pool Federation, never contacted me. They released a statement almost identical to the other statements that were released. They wished that players could play in a safer environment. I was shocked. To say that it was so that they could play in a safer environment kind of meant that trans women were a threat.
The pool hall not welcoming to you?
Actually, on the circuit, we were just treated like other women in social circles. We sit with each other in the bar, chat. Yeah,
okay. That's enough.
It was bizarre.
That's
I
enough.
don't think that's a real voice either. I don't think she's British.
That's enough. I
said it.
Just trans British too.
I think they're trans British. I think they're lying about the voice.
Wait, so he's lying about the accent and the voice, or just the accent?
The accent.
Okay, so he's trans British, trans female, maybe trans tone too.
Possibly. Yeah, I feel like you're going to speak softer. Like, I wouldn't go out there with my voice like this.
Right.
Like, hi, I'm Dave. I want to beach in pool because I'm a fella. Yeah, look at my big luscious tits. You know, stuff like that when I was playing pool.
That could work.
Yeah. Be like, you should enter a female contest.
How many women have come up to you and said, look at my big luscious tits?
Every one of them.
Really?
Yeah, twice this week.
Yeah, I think we need to.
That's how little men know about women, by the way, to become them. Yeah. We just think of things we like on women.
Yeah,
and we're like, here.
She would definitely say that.
That's why so many of them, their surgeries are just ridiculous versions of what men would want in a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny how the trans women don't even feel represented by actual women. So you know that they themselves don't see themselves as women because they demand representation. They say, well, the women aren't representing us. We need trans representation. It's like, okay, well, you don't really see yourself as a woman then, even with all the makeup and the surgery.
When you show up with a scrunchie and outrun everybody by 10 miles, people don't really...
Scrunchie.
People don't really want to be on your side.
Well, and I guess, I know we've got only like a minute here. Would you be fine if you were just, all right, fine, just create your own trans league and you can have like 8 trans pool players and you guys can play each other?
What we need to do is we need to get male only spaces back. I hear a lot of this stuff from like the feminists, even the ones in the GOP. They say, well, biological men are invading women's spaces. It's like, okay, well, for the past few decades, women have been invading male only spaces.
True.
So this is kind of the logical endpoint of feminism. But
That's true. That's true. My 12-year-old, Dave, we got 20 seconds left. My 12-year-old is in a flag football league and they allow girls.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I've had that with my son where it's starting to not really be there anymore, but it is bizarre when you see it. I mean, it's not a tackle, but still, it's a bit odd.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Make sure to check out Dave's book.